imagination of a new generation.
And for more NASA videos, hit subscribe.
You're looking at the American-made rocket and spacecraft that will return American astronauts to the International Space Station from American soil for the first time since the retirement of the space shuttle, last flown nearly 9 years ago. But if all goes well today, we will mark a new first in NASA's storied history and usher in the commercial crew era of American spaceflight. And we are looking at a live picture now of Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley walking down that hallway in the astronaut crew quarters. We just saw Doug wave at the screen, and they're just turning the corner, getting inside that elevator. And this, you can't see it from here, but there is a banner hanging there. You can kind of see it in the back. There's a banner hanging on the wall of the elevator with the signatures of all the people who worked on this mission. So it was really important for them to hang that up in there so Bob and Doug could see it. And there the doors are opening.
Here they come.
Great. And there they are, NASA astronauts.
Small crowd, but big cheers.
NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, Doug on the left, Bob on the right, waving to the crowd there to cheer them on. And there are their families right in front of them.
The virtual hugs, a very special moment. Fist bumps.
I love you. Are you going to be on good behavior? Are you going to listen to mommy and make her life easy?
You can hear them.
Ready? Let's light this candle, I agree. Launch America! Bye guys.
And there it is. That shot really gives you a sense of the scale of the Falcon 9 rocket. Those Teslas look teeny, teeny, tiny, making their way up there.
Yeah, really cool watching the Teslas pull up, driving on the launch pad just a few feet away from the vehicle. This is awesome and getting really excited over here.
Core on countdown 1 at 2 hours 57 minutes. The crew has arrived at the pad on schedule.
There they are, taken in the sight, craning to see the top of the Falcon 9 rocket.
Core on countdown 1 at T-minus 2 hours and 46 minutes. The crew has arrived at the White Room and its ingress is in progress on schedule.
And as they climb into Dragon, they will buckle themselves in and attach their umbilicals to their suits. And as you can see, the suit techs are there to help them get buckled and settled into those seats.
And we can see the seats slowly start to rotate. Again, they're in this down position just to make it easier to climb in and out of Dragon. They'll rotate to this launch position to put their backs a little bit more parallel to the ground. makes taking the G-force a little bit easier for the crew on the way uphill, but most importantly, positions those touchscreens directly in front of them, which is just their gateway into Dragon.
Dragon, SpaceX, seats are in the launch position.
We copy.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, we're go for launch. Let's light this candle.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX, Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
America has launched. And so rises a new era of American spaceflight, and with it the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream. 20 seconds into flight, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T plus 30 seconds into this historic mission. Flying crew on board Dragon and Falcon 9, and look at them go.
Falcon power telemetry nominal.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the period of maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket. Reports say all systems are go.
Vehicle is supersonic.
We've exceeded Mach 1 on the Falcon 9.
M1D throttle up.
We're throttling back up to full power as we're through max Q.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
And we heard that 1 Bravo call out. That's just the second abort zone that they're in. They'll continue to be on this until the first stage has done its job and they switch over to the second. At this point, Bob and Doug pulling about 2.3 Gs, 2.3 times the Earth's gravity, already moving at over 1,500 miles per hour.
We've heard the call out for MVAC engine chill. That's getting the MVAC engine ready to light. That'll come at about 2:44 into flight. Right now, everything continuing to look good. Next major event coming up is going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines, stage separation, and then ignition of the second stage engine to continue to carry astronauts into orbit.
And what you're seeing on your screen is a live view of our drone ship, where our first stage will be coming down. Looks like we lost that live view, but we'll wait for confirmation of that landing shortly here.
Falcon 9 first stage successfully landed.
And there you can see on your screen, Falcon 9 has landed. This is the first Falcon 9 to carry humans to orbit, so very exciting for us. And as you can see on your right screen, Bob and Doug are still making their way to their targeted orbit.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Countdown 1 is unmerged.
Separation confirmed.
And there's that call out. Dragon is now officially making its way to the International Space Station today.
Dragon, SpaceX, with that separation call, we have a few words for you from our Falcon 9 team.
Standing by.
Dragon, Chief Engineer on Dragon to ground. Bob, Doug, on behalf of the entire launch team, thanks for flying with Falcon 9 today. We hope you enjoyed the ride and wish you a great mission.
Thanks, Bala. Congratulations to you and the F9 team for the first human ride for Falcon 9. And it was incredible. Appreciate all the hard work, and thanks for the great ride to space.
Copy all.
Bala and Mike, proud of you guys and the rest of the team. Thank you so much for what you've done for us today, putting America back into low Earth orbit from the Florida coast.
Copy all. Good luck. Godspeed.
Without further ado, we would like to welcome you aboard Capsule Endeavour. We chose Endeavour for a few reasons. One, because of this incredible Endeavour NASA, SpaceX, and the United States has been on since the end of the shuttle program back in 2011. The other reason we named it Endeavour is a little more personal to Bob and I. We both had our first flights on Shuttle Endeavour, and it just meant so much to us to carry on that name. That's what we decided to go with. So we hope you enjoy that name, and once again, welcome on board.
Today we accomplished the first flight off the Florida coast in quite some time, and Doug and I were really proud to have an opportunity to be a part of that. We're doing it in a brand new spaceship, a spaceship that's a lot different than its namesake Endeavour, the space shuttle, in that it has touch display screens that allow us to accomplish most of the interfacing requirements that we have. But we've got the capability to interface with the vehicle, and it's kind of interesting. There's a command. This little button over here is actually what the commands are for our displays. One thing that does get lost is there is a extensive button panel down below as well. So over on this side, we can turn the displays on and off, as well as send some commands for some contingency situations. On the other side, we have the ability to deploy chutes and things like that on entry. So we do have some buttons, but the primary interface is these displays. So nice, new, modern cockpit that we've got for our compared to our namesake, the Space Shuttle Endeavour.
And I'm guessing it was the first time a space vehicle was flown with a touchscreen before. So we got that going for us.
We did. It turns out, end up with one stowaway on board our vehicle when we launched today. It was not just Doug and I who accomplished the launch here. We do have an Apatosaurus.
Side 100 meters continuing to close.
I think you can see a meatball and an American flag on that on the spacecraft. That structure on the fairing structure is actually what the Super Dracos are housed in. Of course, all of those are deactivated now, only used for launch escape during the ascent portion. Nose cone right at the top of the vehicle, and you can see sort of the sealing surface. Those four circular slots right underneath the nose cone within that red ring are the Ford bulkhead Dracos. That's what we were using while we were conducting all those burns, the 5 burns to get to this point.
SpaceX Dragon on the big loop. Our visors are down.
Visors down. They are.
Copy, visors down.
They're sitting right there, 20 meters from the docking port. One more view.
SpaceX and Station Dragon on the big loop. We are inbound from approach 2.
Copy, inbound.
Station copy.
Dragon closing in. We're inside 20 meters. And yeah, that crew hands-off point should come up in about 3 minutes or so. Right before we get that final docking, it comes about 20 seconds prior, or just about 2 meters away from the station still. And that's just the crew not issuing any abort commands. At that point, it would be too late. And so any aborts would be executed automatically by Dragon itself. Two meters. We are inside the hands-off point, the chop, the crew hands-off point. 1 meter to go. Soft capture complete.
Dragon and SpaceX. Soft capture confirmed. Stand by for retraction and docking.
And we just heard it, soft capture. We have docking, that coming at 7:16 a.m. Pacific time, with the station and Dragon flying 262 statute miles right over the border between northern China and Mongolia.
Dragon SpaceX docking sequence is complete.
SpaceX Dragon, we copy, docked in complete. To say that it's been a real honor to be just a small part of this 9-year endeavor since the last time a United States spaceship had docked with the International Space Station. We have to congratulate the men and women of SpaceX at Hawthorne, McGregor, and at Kennedy Space Center. Their incredible efforts over the last several years to make this possible cannot go overstated. I'd also like to thank Kathy Leaders and her team of the Commercial Crew Program of NASA. An outstanding job by everyone. Last, I'd like to thank the men and women of the National Aeronautics and Space Agency. This is an incredible time to be at NASA. 3 new vehicles to be flown, continuing mission in low Earth orbit, and then to the moon and Mars. We thank you again and congratulate you.
Dragon arriving. The crew of Expedition 63 is honored to welcome Dragon and the Commercial Crew Program to welcome aboard the International Space Station. Bob and Doug, glad to have you as part of the crew. Well done. Bravo Zulu.
We have Bob Behnken from SpaceX Demo 2 mission entering the International Space Station. Followed by Doug Hurley. Demo 2 crew now aboard the International Space Station. They entered at 12:22 p.m. Central Time. The station at the time was 262 statute miles over Turkmenistan. Crew all gathered in front of the cameras at the Node 2 forward end of the International Space Station. Just behind them is the hatchway to the Crew Dragon on this Demo 2 mission.
Station, this is the NASA administrator. Can you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear, sir. Welcome to the space station.
Thank you, Chris. It's good to see you. And welcome to Bob and Doug. I will tell you, the whole world saw this mission, and we are so proud of everything you have done for our country, and in fact, to inspire the world.
We sure appreciate that, sir. It's obviously been our honor to be just a small part of this. We have to give credit to SpaceX, the Commercial Crew Program, and of course NASA. It's great to get the United States back in the crewed launch business, and we're just really glad to be on board this magnificent complex.
First, I just want to say thank you again to Bob and Doug and your families from all of us here at SpaceX, all of our locations, all of our partners, all of our vendors, everyone for trusting us to bring you up there.
Hey, thanks, Benji. It's same back at you. You know, congratulations to the folks out at Hawthorne, McGregor, and at Kennedy. Just an incredible journey we've had the last couple days. A great day in space today, our first day of work on space station. But what a great ride on Dragon and Falcon 9 to get us here. Everything worked exactly the way we planned it to work, and that's a credit to the teams there in Hawthorne and McGregor and Kennedy. Just it's a pretty awe-inspiring trip so far, and very humbling, and just we're just so proud to represent SpaceX and NASA in this new next launch capability.
You guys have a picture of the Earth, and you have a flag which also represents the friendly competition, maybe that brings us unity. Why don't you tell us about that there?
Yeah, so this is the flag that we left here almost 9 years ago on STS-135. It had actually flown on STS-1, and then it flew again with us on STS-135. And at some point after the end of the shuttle program, we decided we would have a little friendly competition to see who came up and got this flag. And congratulations, SpaceX, you got the flag. So Bob and I, Chris will not let us forget it. That's the biggest thing, is this will be on his to-do list when we get the nod to return Dragon back to Earth, and hopefully this will find a great place of honor somewhere in Hawthorne.
Everyone at NASDAQ is thrilled that you're able to join us here today virtually as we get set to ring today's opening bell.
All right, Bob Mini Workstation BRT has a red small. Yes. 3 short wire ties, 1 long wire tie. 1 long, 1, 2, 3 shorts. Swing arm, red small. PGT. Red small to PGT number 7. PGT number 7, Cal dot motor 30.5. And 7/16 swabbing.
Bob, your helmet is locked. Just check out all your stuff, make sure you're good.
The thermal cover is open. I'm egressing.
We copy.
The 2 spacewalkers will be making their way to the far starboard truss of the International Space Station to replace aging nickel-hydrogen batteries on the first of 2 power channels for the S6 truss with new lithium-ion batteries and their associated adapter plates.
stand there, okay? We'll get your tools off.
First of all, I'm super excited that this is the first payload you're working with on space station, so it makes it super special for me. And you can start. We have the video. We'll be watching.
When you install the sample cartridge, we'd like you to first hand snug bolt Bravo and then do bolt Alpha and let us know if there's any difference between those two bolts.
We'd like you to do is, like, with two hands, you're going to grab the drink bag and try to squeeze it uniformly so that you actually drain it in about 15 seconds. Keep it going cool. Nice. Well done.
And Endeavour Houston on 2 while we wait for the fan on this day in space history. 9 years ago today, Mr. Doug Hurley launched on STS-135.
Well, welcome aboard to the International Space Station and the crew of Expedition 63.
It's an exciting day for us all as we bid farewell to our two friends and colleagues, Bob and Doug, as they complete the journey of this amazing test mission. Before I hand the mic over to Bob and Doug, I do want to make mention of this very special flag. It has deep space history, getting deeper, as this flag will return to Earth with the Crew Dragon guys and spend a little bit of time on Earth and very soon make a trip to the moon in short order. So, Doug, the flag's all yours. It's been a pleasure, and here you go.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for this. This flag has spent some time up here, on the order of 9 years since we dropped it off on STS-135 after it flew on STS-1. So very proud to return this flag home and see what's next for it on its journey to the moon. It's hard to put into words just what it was like to be a part of this expedition, Expedition 63. It'll be kind of a memory that will last a lifetime for me. Just all the incredible teamwork and accomplishments, with the highlights obviously being the 4 spacewalks that we worked together literally as a crew of 5 to have success and to complete that part of the upgrade for the International Space Station, which leaves it in a great posture for the future.
As I look back on the mission that we've had here on the International Space Station, I'm proud to have been a part of much of the science activities that happened over the last 2 months. As Doug and Chris mentioned, the spacewalks and robotics activity, Chris and I were able to join the 10 Spacewalk Club, which is a pretty neat thing that, just a few short months ago, I didn't think I would do another spacewalk, and to now have the chance to have done 4 more with Commander Cassidy was just icing on the cake for a wonderful mission. And as I look forward to heading back home for the splashdown, I do think that from a family perspective, my son and Doug's son are really excited not only to get their fathers back, but to get our Apatosaurus, our zero-G indicator that they nominated to go with us on this historic mission to the International Space Station, and bringing that to launch and return capability back to the U.S. And so for Jack and Theo, Tremor the Apatosaurus is headed home soon, and he'll be with your dads. You'll have to pick which one of us is your favorite.
Dragon SpaceX on the Big Loop. The final reconfigurations for undock are complete and nominal. The ground is go for undocking at the undocking sequence start time of 23:30 GMT. Please confirm your visors are down and that you are ready for undock and departure.
Dragon copies, go for undock on time, our visors are down, and we're ready for departure.
We copy all. Dragon SpaceX, all hooks open and nominal.
All hooks open.
Dragon departing.
Dragon SpaceX, separation confirmed.
Okay, separation. Great burns. Physical separation, 4:35 p.m. Pacific. Thrusters looking good. Counting down to a nominal departure burn 0 coming up shortly.
Dragon SpaceX, depart burn 0 complete.
Copy complete. We're visors up. And with that, Bob and Doug have concluded their stay aboard the International Space Station. They're on their way back to planet Earth. Confirms a physical separation at 4:35 p.m. Pacific as the station and Dragon were flying 267 statute miles over Johannesburg, South Africa.
Station Endeavour on the big loop.
Go ahead, Endeavour.
We just can't thank you enough. It's been an honor and a privilege to be part of Expedition 63 with you, Anatoly, and Ivan. It's been a great 2 months, and we appreciate all you've done as a crew to help us prove out Dragon on its maiden flight. I'd also like to thank Zeb and his team in Mission Control in Houston for the incredible amount of work they did to make the dock to ops successful for Dragon, and also the teams at SpaceX that keep us going towards the end of our mission that we look forward to splashdown tomorrow. I'd also like to wish you a great success on the rest of your expedition and a safe flight home in the fall. Take care, friend.
Endeavour,
Thank
stay
you, Chris.
Thank you, Anatoly. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Houston, and thank you, SpaceX.
Endeavour Station, Bob and Doug, wholeheartedly agree with those sentiments. It's been a real pleasure. It's been an honor to serve with you. Safe travels and have a successful landing. Endeavour's a great ship. Godspeed.
Endeavour copies all. Thanks, Chris.
Good morning, Dragon Endeavour. I'm happy you went into space, but I'm even happier that you're coming back home.
Rise and shine, Daddy. We love you. We can't wait to see you. Wake up, wake up.
Rise and shine, Dad. Me, Luke, Leo, and Mom can't wait to see you, Daddy. Love you.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up. Say, wake up. Don't worry, you can sleep in tomorrow. Hurry home so we can go get my dog.
We love you, Dad.
Good morning, Jay. Good morning to SpaceX, and thank you especially to Jack and to Theo for that wonderful message this morning. Hopefully the pressure's all on whoever's making the weather call, because those boys seem excited to bring us home.
Yeah, we concur. It was great hearing them, and happy to hear you. And lucky for you, weather is looking great at Pensacola. Dragon is also healthy and proceeding towards the primary deorbit opportunity.
We've got some live views inside the Dragon Endeavour capsule. Bob and Doug there in their seats as they are making final preparations and doing final reviews as we get ready to initiate the deorbit sequence. Closest to the camera there is NASA astronaut Doug Hurley, and further away from the camera is NASA astronaut Bob Behnken. These are two incredibly wonderful humans. We affectionately call them our space dads here at SpaceX. It's been such an honor to be able to fly them. Of course, Doug Hurley was actually the pilot of the final space shuttle mission, STS-135, back in 2011. And honestly, when I heard that he was assigned to this mission, I cried because, just to have the opportunity to return the pilot of that final mission to the space station in this capacity is so cool. And I've loved following this mission since the moment that we started training for it here in Hawthorne.
Dragon, SpaceX, deorbit sequence start.
Never copied.
There on your screen, we have a shot of the capsule as it is preparing to deploy those initial parachutes, the drogue parachutes. Again, these parachutes help slow the vehicle down even further and help stabilize in preparation for main chute deployment. Right about now, the capsule is going about 400 miles per hour, decelerating quickly.
And standing by for drogue deploys.
Visual, 2 drogues out.
There on your screen, we have visual confirmation of those 2 drogue deployments.
Copy, drogue.
All right, so 2 of 2, the drogues now out. They're going to do their slowing and stabilizing of the Dragon spacecraft. They should be detaching in just a few moments, and then we'll see 4 parachutes, the main parachutes deployed. Dragon under drogues.
Drogue descent rate nominal.
So the expected descent rate, the expected velocity under the drogues nominal, we're right at around 150 miles an hour and already dropping. You can see the drogues now detach.
And there we have confirmation of deployment of the 4 main parachutes.
We are visual on 4 chutes out.
We are visual. 4 main parachutes deployed.
4 main.
So at this point, the main parachutes have deployed. They are inflating, as you can see there on your screen, continuing to slow Dragon down significantly. We are anticipating splashdown in just under 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, we've already slowed the vehicle down to about 16 miles an hour. It's already less than 1 kilometer in altitude. We just passed about 300 meters. 1 minute till splashdown.
meters. We are braced for splashdown.
Copy, brace for splashdown.
So there we heard Bob and Doug reporting that they are bracing for a splashdown. We should be able to see the Gulf of Mexico here in the shot just momentarily, as we're now just about 20 meters off the ocean.
Splashdown.
As you can see on your screen, we have visual confirmation for splashdown.
SpaceX copies and concurs. We see splashdown and mains cut.
Dragon Endeavour has returned home. NASA astronauts
And
Bob
Endeavour, on
Doug.
behalf of the SpaceX and NASA teams, welcome back to planet Earth, and thanks for flying SpaceX.
It was truly our honor and privilege to fly in flight of the Crew Dragon and Endeavour. Congrats, everybody at SpaceX. All good, and we're into section of 4.800.
Thanks for those words, Doug, and we copy that you are into 4.800.
So great news all around there. Our space dads are back on Earth after a 19-hour return journey from space. Dragon Endeavour has splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico, just off the coast of Pensacola, Florida. And on your screen there, you can see our 2 fast boats, and they are indeed fast, racing out to greet Dragon Endeavour as it sits there. The first on there, we can see a view inside the capsule. Bob and Doug looking good. Although the communication was a little choppy, we did hear...
Endeavour in 3.1, we show ourselves in stable 1.
And SpaceX copies for vehicle assessment, step 3.1, stable 1. Good news.
Oh, still getting a view from the WB. The airplane flying overhead, it gave us those great views, really our first views of Bob and Doug re-entering the Earth's atmosphere from up above. You can see the 4 parachutes in the water. We heard those were cut automatically as expected by Dragon. So for now, the crew just standing by. Again, they're going to stay in their suits, in their seats.
Dragon will be hoisted using the hydraulic lift out of the water and into that nest. That nest will then be pulled towards the camera from this view, towards those individuals on that upper deck there.
Dragon SpaceX, brace for capsule lift in about 30 seconds.
We're ready. Thank you.
All right, so the crew was just told in the next 30 seconds, they have the lines affixed, so they're going to start lifting the capsule up out of the water. And at this point, the communication we're getting with Dragon is actually being routed through the boat itself at this point. So there we can see the lift. Dragon is out of the water.
Yeah, so
now
now
that A-frame's going to start swinging it back. And it's bound right for that nest at the bottom of your screen.
And there we can see Dragon Endeavour being carefully set down into the recovery nest on top of Go Navigator.
Dragon SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery vessel. Recovery personnel are completing final checks and preparing to translate you to the egress platform.
Be happy. Thank you.
And we see the hatch is now open. Hatch being opened at 12:59 p.m. Pacific. Hatch is open.
So right now they're going to put a piece of equipment in there that basically smooths out the edges and makes sure that it is a comfortable exit from the Dragon capsule. Just a little piece of structure there to ensure that the hatch will remain open and that any sharp edges around that side hatch are protected.
And Solo from the PLT, I just wanted to thank you guys for bringing us home safe before I disembarked from ship Endeavour. I'm sure Doug will have some good words for you guys as well. But thank you for doing the most difficult parts and the most important parts of human spaceflight, getting us into orbit and bringing us home safely. Thank you again for the good ship Endeavour.
Thank you, Bob, for those awesome words. It's absolutely been an honor and a pleasure to work with you from the entire SpaceX team. It's been awesome.
SpaceX Dragon from the commander.
Go for SpaceX.
Mike, I just would like to sort of reiterate what Bob said and add my thanks to everybody over the last several years that's either worked in Hawthorne, McGregor, or down at Kennedy Space Center. Anybody who's touched Endeavour, you should take a moment to just cherish this day, especially given all the things that have happened this year. We certainly... Mikey.
Yeah, so Bob Bankin, the pilot, the Joint Operations Commander for this mission, out of the capsule now. So he's making his way over to the medical area, and now they're going to work to get Doug Hurley out next.
I think I saw a smile on Bob's face.
He was a thumbs up all the way. As they've been giving us some regular status updates from inside the capsule, they've been feeling really good. And so now we're just standing by for our spacecraft commander, Doug Hurley, to make his way out into the fresh air for the first time in 64 days. And it looks like we've got him out. We've got some applause here.
And as you can see in Mission Control, a standing ovation for a job well done all around.
Yeah, our crew members, Bob and Doug, are now safely back home on Earth, and they're going to get checked out now by the NASA medical team. They're going straight into the medical quarters on board the ship. That'll be their first stop on planet Earth, and then they're going to be making their way up into a helicopter and then heading back to dry land. So once they're complete, the team's going to prepare Dragon itself, and they're going to begin taking it back to shore.
I think the biggest thing that we would both like to talk about is just to thank, you can see Steve and Kathy here and Elon. You know, this has been quite an odyssey the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. 5 years since Bob and I started working on this program. And to be where we are now, the first crewed flight of Dragon is just unbelievable. We've said it before, just a tremendous privilege to be part of this program, to be part of NASA, and to spend 2 months on the International Space Station with one of the greatest officers, crewmates, astronauts, Chris Cassidy. It just was a real pleasure for both of us. And I'm sure Bob will talk about the spacewalks, but just to see those two work out on the International Space Station, you're not going to see anything like that again. It just was, it was just amazing to be part of that. And then, you know, the flight of Dragon on Falcon, and then the reentry today, it's a lot to process. As I said 5 hours ago, we were in a spaceship bobbing around, making prank satellite phone calls to whoever we could get a hold of, which was kind of fun, by the way. You can send him the bill for the sat phone. But anyway, we really appreciate all of you coming to say hi and welcoming us back. It's a little bit overwhelming to see everybody here, considering the things that have gone on the last few months since we've been off planet. But thank you again for coming to say hi, and hopefully we'll be able to share a lot of this mission with you in a few months, hopefully, if not sooner. But thank you again.
Well, first of all, thank you for everybody who came out today. I know with all the challenges, everybody's wearing a mask with the situation that we're in. It's not trivial to get this many people here to try to be close and celebrate what we've accomplished. I think for both Doug and I, the thing that we're most excited about having accomplished with this mission is, you know, it's written right on that sign where it says Launch America, and then, of course, Land America today. As we went through our years as astronauts here at the Johnson Space Center, we got to live through a big chunk of the shuttle era and a big chunk of the assembly of the space station. When the space shuttles retired, when Doug took his final flight to wrap that up, I think it was a sad day for us in the because there's something special about having that capability to launch and bring your own astronauts home. And we went through a lot of years without that capability, and I think we're both super proud to have been just a small part of the team that accomplished bringing those space flights back to the Florida coast and bringing that capability back to America. As Doug mentioned, we had the luxury of having just a super crew on board the International Space Station with Chris Cassidy, with Anatoly and Yvonne. They just took wonderful care of us. I can't think of anything that we could have had more in place and ready for us when we arrived than what Chris set up for us. And so we're extremely thankful for him and his work to make things look easy for us. You know, we didn't have the full training template that was out there. We had an abbreviated flow and got to take advantage of an opportunity, if you will, to try to take care of Space Station as we accomplish this test mission. And so I think we're both really proud of that and happy that it didn't become a distraction. We were able to accomplish the test mission objectives and work through those, kind of get Dragon certified in some sense to be ready for our return home when the time came to do that. And so it all just worked out wonderfully. And so today, when we got the wake-up calls from our boys telling us a little bit about what they were looking for, the hard work that you all had to go through to ensure that the contractors, in this case the SpaceX team, really could understand NASA and what we needed to be able to have in place to have human spaceflight be safe in the way that we wanted to operate it. And I think for the SpaceX team, we couldn't have asked for a more wonderful team to work with. I think you know, we definitely are old dogs and like some of our old tricks because
It's not always because lazy. Sometimes it's because we did it before and we know an easy solution, and we try to share that with folks. And that's really, as we go forward to further activities, whether it's in low Earth orbit to the moon or beyond, we need to figure out the best way to share what NASA knows with the contractor team and help them be as successful as possible. And I think maybe we weren't there 5 or 6 years ago, of course, but by the time we launched and certainly by the time we returned, I think there was a very tight-knit relationship between the SpaceX team and our NASA team, and we worked together to accomplish what we accomplished. So with that, I just want to thank you all for coming out today and celebrating this victory with Doug and I, and recognize our small part of what was accomplished. Thank you all.
$270 meters in closing. Crew Dragon expected to converge with waypoint 1 directly in front of the International Space Station in less than 5 minutes. You can see the views right over the shoulders of Commander Shane Kimbrough and pilot Megan MacArthur. Kimbrough on the left, MacArthur on the right from that view.
From this view from the International Space Station, you can see what we were mentioning earlier, where Dragon was below the station. You could see that previously when it had Earth in the background. Now it is almost adjacent, or almost in the same orbit as the International Space Station, as it's making its way to the docking axis at waypoint 1. And this maneuver from below the station to in front of the docking port is almost complete, just a few minutes away.
Getting great views from all around, from the station side, from the Dragon side. The outline of the station you see on the displays inside Crew Dragon is in line with the position of where Dragon is relative to the International Space Station. It's almost at the docking axis, about 2.5 minutes to go until it converges with waypoint 1.
And as a reminder, Dragon is flying autonomously, so they aren't using those display panels to fly Dragon. They're just using them to monitor each step of the way. So the crew is basically just patiently waiting until they dock with the station.
Now seeing Dragon in a better view, a lot more clear now that it's only 240 meters away. You can see the nose cone clearly deployed, extended towards the space-facing side or zenith side.
A really good zoomed-in view, and you could almost make out those 4 bulkhead thrusters on the forward portion of the Dragon capsule.
There you go. The Cronus is adjusting the aperture of the station cameras.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Approach 1 and soft capturing extension will begin shortly.
We are in a handover period, so we may have missed a call as we were switching from TDRS satellites. We're looking at about 20 seconds to go until we converge with waypoint 1. There's going to be an approach burn maneuver using the Draco thrusters. That's called approach 1. And that'll move Dragon from right in front of the docking axis, 220 meters away, and start moving in, closing in to waypoint 2, just 20 meters away from the docking axis. Of course, they'll be monitoring along the way.
We did hear the Corps mention that they are going to have a checkpoint to make sure that there isn't too much sunlight on the space station, which will prevent Dragon from docking. If that does happen, Dragon will autonomously back out and wait until the sunlight has cleared to ensure a good docking with the space station. Because this is all autonomous, it uses some visual cameras to align with the docking port. So it's really important that we don't have that sunlight getting in the way.
On the big loop, sound check.
SpaceX has you loud and clear on the big loop. Helm me.
Loud and clear. Your last call, we copied most of it, but you cut out towards the end there. Not sure if there's anything important for us.
Copy. I'm going to repeat the end of the call. We did have a TDRS handover. Just for awareness, following the lighting assessment, if we continue but sunlight results in a loss of the Dragon Eye geofilters, Dragon Eye will autonomously retreat back to waypoint 1, still on closed-loop control using the time-of-flight filters. How copy?
Okay, we copied all. Thank you very much for repeating.
No problem, Shane. And for awareness, the C2V2 link reconfiguration has been completed.
Copy, C2V2 complete.
And there, the Corps just reiterated that they will be checking to make sure that the sunlight is not in the way of the visual systems between Dragon and the space station. If that does happen, Dragon will autonomously retract and wait until we do get some good visual views for these systems to dock with each other. So
that's right. Crew Dragon resilience actually coming into view a little bit clearer now from the cameras aboard Dragon. Dock to the Zenith port.
Yeah, that was on the upper portion of the screen.
That's right. Now again, to reiterate, Dragon has passed waypoint 1, 220 meters in front of the station, executed a burn maneuver to go ahead and move in, so we're in approach 1, and it's heading towards waypoint 2. Now inside the keep-out sphere. It's currently in the process of extending its soft capture ring that'll be used to dock to the international docking adapter of the forward port.
We're monitoring the visual systems of Dragon. It would execute an automatic retreat if the sun was interfering with the optical systems as it makes its way towards an approach. We're at about 150 meters away from the station.
And we have such a great camera view here. You can really see the detail on Dragon. Again, those 4 bulkhead thrusters. You could almost read the logo, the Dragon logo on the side of the vehicle.
That's right. We'll get even better views as it makes its way even closer to make contact and capture with the space station.
There it is.
Yeah, based on the trajectory here, we may even anticipate a capture a little bit earlier than anticipating. We were looking at about 2:10 a.m. Pacific time. It might be at maybe closer to 2:07 p.m. The features of the space station coming into view very clearly.
Yeah, you can see a lot of the detail there, and as you mentioned, the Crew 1 Dragon.
SpaceX station on the big loop. Procedure review complete, ready for docking.
Houston copies.
All right, that was confirmation from Victor Glover aboard the International Space Station. From the space station side, he is go for docking. The soft capture ring itself is fully extended. We're 115 meters in closing.
Looking at your screen, the port that we are going to be docking with is directly in the middle of the screen, that circular area on the International Space Station.
Station Houston on 2 for Ike regarding SSC-17 and D2DM. We are seeing some strange configurations on the video, and we would like to close and restart that. We can take care of that from the ground if you would like. Absolutely. If you're seeing nominal, that works for us.
Okay, so Victor Glover aboard the station still has...
And Dragon SpaceX soft capture ring extension is complete. Additionally, we did beat the sunlight for the Dragon Eye filters, so we are not going to command a hold.
Copy, go.
All right, so that's great news. We passed the 110-meter checkpoint that the ground operators were referencing, making sure the sun wasn't interfering with the optical sensors, the Dragon Eye, that are part of the guidance and navigation and control system aboard Dragon. We passed that check mark. We're good to go. We beat the sun there. So we're now inside 80 meters and closing. Dragon will pause at 20 meters. That's designated as waypoint 2 to conduct a go, no-go poll for the readiness on both the Dragon side and the International Space Station side, making sure everyone is good for docking. If we are go, we expect to dock during this pass over an orbital daytime. Expected in less than 20 minutes. Some of the features there, you can see a lot of the visiting vehicles on board station. At the bottom is a Russian Soyuz vehicle that delivered crew to the International Space Station. Just in front of that, or actually above that, is the Crew Dragon Resilience docked to the Zenith port. Once Crew Dragon Endeavour arrives, there will be 2 Crew Dragons attached to the space station.
In this view from Crew Dragon looking at the International Space Station, it looks like it's this very slow and steady movement, but in reality they're moving at 17,500 miles per hour.
The rendezvous operations are absolutely incredible. You can sort of see the Northrop Grumman Cygnus cargo craft as well, some of the Ultraflex solar arrays coming into view a little bit clearly.
And again, you can see that Crew 1 Dragon vehicle on the top of your screen. Once Crew 2 docks to the International Space Station, we will have 2 Crew Dragons docked at the same time for the first time.
That view right there was truly a representation truly of an international cooperation there. The U.S.-built Node 2 is where the Dragon will be docking today. It was flanked by the European Columbus module and the Japanese GEM.
On the big loop, visors down.
SpaceX copies. The visors are down. We may enter into a hold at waypoint 2. We are still awaiting ground go for final approach.
Never copies.
The detail of this camera view is pretty incredible. Here from the International Space Station, watching Crew Dragon as it is slowly approaching.
And as expected, Dragon holding at waypoint 2. It's at about 20 meters right in front of the docking axis.
And if you're just now joining us, we are just waiting for a confirmation for go for docking. Currently holding Dragon at waypoint 2. And again, it looks like Dragon is just paused and not even moving, but again, as we just mentioned, both the space station and Crew Dragon are actually moving at approximately 17,500 miles per hour. So it's pretty incredible how it can hold these speeds so that it looks like they are just completely paused.
That's right. Teams on the ground, both from the station side in Mission Control Houston and Mission Control Hawthorne, just checking and verifying all systems are go to proceed with docking.
And when we do begin docking, there will be 2 portions of this. There will be a soft capture followed by a hard capture. The soft capture will be a soft capture ring that basically just connects the Crew Dragon to the space station to enable the hard capture, which will be 12 hooks that will attach Dragon to the station.
Again, we're standing by the International Space Station, flying over the Indian Ocean now, just south of the Indian border. It's heading on a southeasterly course just south of Australia and should cross over the Terminator line into the Pacific Ocean into an orbital nighttime. The expectation is for Dragon to depart here from waypoint 2 and proceed on with docking ahead of orbital nighttime to beat the sun.
You can see this camera moving around. Again, this is controlled from the ground from Mission Control Houston. And they're maneuvering this camera around so we can just get a more detailed view of the Crew 2 Dragon Endeavour patiently waiting, docking to the International Space Station.
Dragon on its second flight, about to dock to the forward end of the International Space Station for the second time.
And Station and Endeavour on the big loop. Ike, we are not able to recover that video for the D2DM, so you can close that window, and we should be ready to press into final approach shortly.
Station copies.
You did hear that call out speak out to Ike. Ike is actually referring to Victor Glover. That is just his nickname.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Ground is now go for final approach. Upon confirmation of crew readiness for final approach, we will enable the approach. Please confirm crew readiness, and a reminder, once Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are no longer permitted.
Crew is ready for final approach.
And got some good words that the crew is ready for the docking to the International Space Station. They no longer will have control of any aborts. If there is an abort needed, it will have to be done by the Dragon autonomously.
And on the big loop, monitor per steps 3 and 4 and 1.104.
Station copy.
Again, we are now moving into the CHOP, which is the crew hands-off point. As I was mentioning earlier, if there is an abort, it will need to be done autonomously by Dragon.
All right, we did get confirmation. Approach 2 has been initiated. So Dragon now making its way inside the 20-meter hold point at about 18 meters and closing. Final approach of Endeavour to dock with the International Space Station has started. Docking expected in about 3.5 minutes from now.
And you can see on your screen as Crew Dragon slowly approaches towards that port for docking.
Sorry, we're 13 meters and closing, making a slow and methodical approach to the docking port. That's on the forward end of the International Space Station, that international docking adapter where Crew Dragon Endeavour has docked once before.
Meters.
Copy, 10 meters.
And what that call out was Crew Dragon is just 10 meters away from the International Space Station as it continues its approach for docking. Again, docking will occur in two phases. There will be a soft capture followed by a hard capture, and what that hard capture means is 12 physical hooks will connect the Dragon to the space station.
Great views. Dragon just 6 meters away as the station and Dragon fly in tandem 263 statute miles over the South Indian Ocean in the background.
5 meters.
We're 5 meters and closing.
Copy 5 meters.
You really start to see the detail on Dragon there as it is closing in on docking.
That's right, 2.5 meters, 30 seconds. Crew hands off point was called out.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop, soft capture confirmed.
Copy, soft capture confirmed.
Great news with that call out. That soft capture is confirmed.
That's right, that soft capture time, 2:08 a.m. Pacific time, 4:08 a.m. Eastern. The station and Dragon connected 264 statute miles over the South Indian Ocean. Endeavour connected to International Space Station for the second time.
And there are still a few steps to complete before Dragon is securely attached.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop, soft capture ring retraction in progress.
That's good. The ring retraction is happening. Ring retraction happening as expected. And after the ring retracts, 12 hooks will latch, 6 at a time, to perform a hard capture, and will officially mate Dragon to the International Space Station.
Got this really awesome view of Dragon as it is connected to the port, currently making progress on hard capture.
Soft capture ring retraction does take some time. It is continuing at its anticipated speed. Things are looking good. Again, this is the first in a series of steps to officially mate Dragon to the station. you're just joining us, we heard the call out for soft capture confirmed at 2:08 a.m. Pacific time, 4:08 a.m. Eastern time. Station and Dragon were 264 statute miles over the South Indian Ocean at the time of contact and capture. We're still in the process of retracting the soft capture ring and anticipating proceeding with the hard capture sequence, where 12 hooks will drive to officially mate Dragon with the International Space Station's International Docking Adapter at the forward port. Crew Dragon Endeavour docked to that forward port for the second time.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Ring retraction is complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Never copies up.
If you're just now joining us, as you can see on your screen, Crew Dragon has made contact with the International Space Station. And we're currently in progress of...
Endeavour and Station, MCS is configured, proceeding with hook driving.
Never copies.
Station copies.
Great timing there. This is now the beginning of the hard capture sequence. This is where 12 hooks will latch between Dragon and the space station, 6 hooks at a time. This will take a few minutes to complete.
That's right, that MCS is just configuring the International Space Station's attitude control. It needed to be configured differently between a soft capture and hard capture sequence. So now that that's been confirmed, they can go ahead and press to drive the 12 hooks needed to confirm a hard capture. To reiterate, the Dragon had contact and capture with the space station at 2:08 a.m. Pacific time, 5:08 a.m. Eastern. Space Station and Dragon crossing over the Terminator line, just south of Australia. All right, again, we're still undergoing the hard capture sequence. There's 12 hooks that drive to officially mate Dragon to the International Space Station, 6 of them driving currently. Station attitude configured to support the hard capture sequence. Now operating on control moment gyros to maintain attitude control during the hard capture sequence. All right, and we have confirmation the first set of hooks.
They do still have some more steps that they need to go through in order to ensure that the space station and Dragon are safe for crew ingress. There will be the hatch opening as the crew on board Dragon as well as the station will be walking through some procedures prior to ingress of the crew on the International Space Station, but once they do ingress on the station, there will be a welcome ceremony.
Again, half of the hard capture hooks have been driven and locked into place. The second set of 6 hooks, 12 total, 6 of them driving.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Hard capture is complete. You are go to open visors.
Copy, hard capture complete. Opening visors.
All right. Crew Dragon Endeavour officially made it to the International Space Station. That dynamic period of the docking phase is complete. The crew inside Dragon have been wearing their suits just as an extra precaution, but they can go ahead and pull up their visors. It's going to be some time until the hatches themselves are open between Dragon and the International Space Station. Still some things to configure on that side. The vestibule on the International Docking Adapter that separates the hatches of Dragon and the International Space Station, that's been exposed to the vacuum of space and has had the sun shining on it periodically. So when repressurizing the vestibule to equal the pressure inside the space station.
Hard capture complete. Welcome to ISS. We are so excited to have you aboard. Thanks, Anna. We're glad to be here. We'll see you all in a few minutes.
International Space Station Commander Shannon Walker welcoming the crew. Now Crew 2 officially made it to the International Space Station. Again, it's going to be some time until they come in, but the commander of the International Space Station welcoming 4 new crew members for her expedition on board here shortly. We enter into an orbital nighttime, completing the docking of Crew Dragon Endeavour to the International Space Station for a second time. That contact and capture occurring at 2:08 a.m. Pacific Time, 5:08 a.m. Eastern. We have a confirmed hard capture. The umbilical is in motion to connect the station to the Dragon and provide data and power and communication through that umbilical, so it no longer has to rely on its own systems. Everything's looking good for that vehicle. It's going to be some time again until we repressurize the vestibule and get those hatches open between the Dragon and the International Space Station. It'll be the crew inside the station getting that ready to be opened.
Endeavour SpaceX docking sequence is complete. Welcome to the ISS.
Thank you, SpaceX. Great to be here.
In some more official words, that docking is complete. The crew must be so excited to finally have arrived at the space station. Again, there is some more steps that they will need to complete and some checks before they can ingress on the space station. But the crew can now get out of their suits before moving into hatch operations. So now they can start to get comfortable again. They no longer need these suits now that they have arrived at the space station.
That's right. And so it'll be some time again until that area between the International Space Station and the hatches.
SpaceX Endeavour on Dragon to ground. Are you ready for us to begin suit doffing?
SpaceX copies. You are go to begin suit doffing and audio configuration. Procedure 4.012.
Copy, that's in work.
So again, it'll take some time. The crew will begin doffing or taking off their suits. It'll be some time to repressurize the vestibule. Station side, astronauts on the station side will configure the hatch, getting ready to open that up and welcome the crew inside the International Space Station. It was a pretty great docking. Everything happened right on cue, and as expected, So it was a great to see Crew Dragon Endeavour dock to the International Space Station once again. We've enjoyed it from here in Mission Control Hawthorne, but to see how things turned out from the space station side of things as we work together to complete today's operation, let's go to Courtney Beasley for a refresher on what's ahead now that Dragon is docked.
SpaceX cameras are external.
Copy, thanks. Thanks, Gary. It's great to see Dragon successfully docked to the International Space Station. Even through the face masks, you can see and feel the excitement in the room here in Mission Control Houston. Now that we're docked, Victor Glover is securing some hardware, and then he'll move right into hatch operations. First, he will open the large hatch at Node 2 forward, giving him access inside the pressurized mating adapter. Then he will have to pressurize the vestibule, which is the small space between the hatches on Dragon and the space station. This was exposed to vacuum prior to docking, and he will need to fill it with air and make sure its pressure is nearly equal with the atmospheric pressures on Dragon and the station. He will use a small valve on the station's hatch to slowly introduce air into the vestibule, and flight controllers here in Houston will monitor the pressure and temperature readings inside and verify that everything is leak-free before we get ready to open up the hatches. We expect it to take about 2 hours to get everything pressurized and checked out before we open hatches. With Dragon successfully docked to the International Space Station, that's the latest from here in Mission Control Houston. And back to the team over in Hawthorne.
All right, thanks, Courtney. As mentioned, it will take some time to go ahead and go through those procedures, but we'll stay with you throughout today's coverage. Of course, one of the major things will be repressurizing the vestibule in between the hatches. There's a hatch called the A-Pass hatch. That's the hatch on the International Space Station side. And then there's the Dragon hatch itself. In between is a vestibule that's currently at vacuum. So in order to travel through both hatches, you need to repressurize that. Now that there's a hard mate between the two vehicles, they'll check the seal. They'll do some leak checks as they're repressurizing the vestibule up to vacuum. And that will take some time.
SpaceX Endeavour, check on the cabin mic.
SpaceX has you loud and clear on the cabin mic.
Ready, the same, thanks.
You're hearing the crew inside Endeavour go through their procedures. One of the first things they're ready to do is take off those suits. They had to wear it through several of the operations of a launch from the Kennedy Space Center to a docking with the International Space Station. Launch is a very dynamic activity, so they had suits on up until orbital insertion, and then they were able to doff their suits, have a meal, go to bed, check out some of the systems, wake up, and then right before they entered into the approach phase of today's flight with the approach initiation burn, they got their suits on and were able to pressurize them, and they held pressure throughout that sequence of today's flight until docking. Now they get to take it off. They get to stretch out, change into something a little bit more comfortable, but not too comfortable, of course, because they will be. We will have an event to welcome them on board the International Space Station. We expect all 11 crew members to be there to welcome them. It's going to be pretty crowded, but it should be very exciting to see that many people on board the International Space Station.
And those call-outs that we just heard they were doing a comm check with the Crew Dragon communications because they've now taken off their suits. They have comms through their suits, but since they're not going to be wearing their suits anymore, they need to use the comms through Dragon. So very exciting. It sounds like they're getting out of their suits as we speak, or doffing their suits. And then we will soon begin the process to open up those hatches so that the crew can finally ingress onto the space station. So it will take a little bit of time, but we will be here with you through every step of the way. you're just now joining us, the Crew 2 crew has finally docked to the International Space Station after an approximately 23-hour ride from Earth to the station. Again, they are going to be performing a few procedures here before the Crew 2 can ingress onto the space station. They will be opening the A-Pass hatch, which is the space station side hatch, followed by the Dragon hatch. But this will take some time. They will need to repressurize the vestibule in between those two hatches before the crew can ingress.
That's right, the umbilical on the Dragon side has been fully extended to provide power, communications, and data from the International Space Station to the Dragon, so the Dragon no longer needing to rely on its own power systems. And of course, when the hatches are open, they'll be able to mix the air from the environment that's inside the space station with the Dragon, so it no longer needs to rely on its environmental control and life support systems. In the meantime, it is still doing so because the hatches are closed between both the Dragon and the International Space Station. There is a gap called the vestibule in between them that's currently at vacuum. That vestibule has been exposed to the vacuum of space on the forward end of the International Docking Adapter. So when bringing the pressure back up, there may be swings. Because of the temperature variation, there may be swings that need to dampen out before an effective leak check could take place. So the process of repressurizing the vestibule in between those two hatches does take quite a long time. It's expected to be about 2 hours until both of the hatches are open because of the length of time of repressuring that vestibule. Now from the station side, Victor Glover will outfit the 8-pass hatch. That's the one on the station side. He'll open it up and remove, once the vestibule is pressurized, he'll open that up and remove the docking target and install some padding onto the A-Pass hatch so that there's no unnecessary contact as astronauts are coming through the hatch from Crew Dragon to come inside of the forward end of the International Space Station.
Station Houston on 2, on the big loop, you are go to pick up and ingress part 1, step 1. Note that the pre-ingress ventilation in step 1.6 is not required.
Okay, picking up step 1 and 1.6 not required.
Dragon SpaceX, no response required, but ISS power connection has been established.
There you go. So Victor Glover on the International Space Station side already going through his procedures to get the hatches configured for ingress, essentially supporting the opening of the hatches, repressurizing in the vestibule. There's a lot to happen before we can open up the hatch and welcome the crew on the inside. The umbilical has been fully extended, and we just got confirmation that Dragon is drawing power from the International Space Station, so the solar arrays on the station providing power downstream to the Dragon. Dragon no longer needing to rely on its power. That officially confirmed. It will again take some time until the Dragon hatches are open. Our Dragon and Space Station hatches are open. And we've noticed for the past 2 times that Crew Dragons have docked to the station. The past 2 times being when Crew was aboard for Demo 2 and for Crew 1. We did notice that the crew inside Dragon took some time before to get themselves situated, make sure everything on the Dragon side was configured before they left it and entered into the International Space Station. We should see celebratory hugs from the crew on board as they make their way one at a time, as they'll be together for the next few days until they have to say farewell to the Crew 1 astronauts aboard the International Space Station. Shannon Walker handing over command of the International Space Station. Before she does that, she's going to hand the command over to Aki Hoshide, who's currently on board Crew 2. He'll take the responsibility of International Space Station Commander through the duration of Expedition 65 until he's ready to hand it off to the next crew. That all happening in the next couple of days. All right, if you're just joining us, you're getting a live view of both of the control rooms. On the left is SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne, and on the right, Mission Control Houston with the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Crew Dragon Endeavour is officially docked to the International Space Station, and right now teams on both the station side and Dragon side are working to get ready to open up the hatches in between them. It's going to take some time until we get to that point where we're able to open up the hatches. Victor Glover on the station side is currently inside the pressurized mating adapter. He's working to manually pressurize the vestibule that exists between both of the hatches. It's going to take some time because that vestibule has been exposed to vacuum since before Crew Dragon just docked at 2:08 a.m. Pacific time, 5:08 a.m. Eastern time, and that because it has been exposed to vacuum, the thermal environment causes it to have a little bit of oscillation as the pressure is rising. So they need to have some thermal equalization in the vestibule before beginning the pressurization to ensure that the leak checks are accurate. So they'll do a leak check on the way up to pressure, which is a little more than 14 pounds per square inch. They'll do a pressure check at 5 pounds per square inch, make sure everything's good, that the vestibule is holding pressure, and then they'll continue on up to match the pressure between the International Space Station and the Crew Dragon. In the meantime, Victor Glover will open up the A-Pass hatch on the International Space Station side. That's the hatch that separates the vestibule from the Dragon hatch. He'll outfit the A-Pass hatch by taking off the docking target, which is a long rod with an X on it, and was used for some of the optical navigation equipment on the Crew Dragon for Dragon's approach and eventual docking to the station.
He'll remove that. He'll put some pads on the A-Pass hatch, make sure no one bumps their head on the way in. And then when he heads into the vestibule, there's a little window. Hopefully he'll be able to wave to his crewmates before they actually open up the hatch of the Dragon itself. After both hatches are open, the crews on both sides will get positioned. Well, first the Crew 2 astronauts will just make sure everything is okay on Endeavour's side before they go ahead and officially leave that vehicle. Crew from inside Endeavour will enter or ingress into the International Space Station one at a time, being greeted by the 7 crew members that are currently aboard the International Space Station, including Crew 1 astronauts. You have Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, and Shannon Walker from NASA, and Soichi Noguchi from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Also on board, arriving on a Russian Soyuz in April, earlier this month, was Mark Vande Hei of NASA, and Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov from Roscosmos.
Dragon SpaceX for audio configuration.
Go ahead for audio config.
Shane, we are about to transition to hardline audio with ISS.
Copy.
All right, so you just heard the confirmation. The Dragon and International Space Station are mated now by not only the International Docking Adapter, but there is an umbilical that's extending to the space station. We did have confirmation that we have power that's being drawn from the space station to the Dragon side, so they're configuring some of the other channels, including communication. So they'll configure that one at a time. Some of the sequence of events that's going to happen over the next couple of hours until as we continue to repressurize the vestibule and get the station and Dragon outfitted to eventually open up the hatches. We'll be with you throughout the entire duration of this sequence until we have those hatches open and provide a live coverage of a welcome ceremony, show the inside of the space station and the crews of Dragon, both Resilience and Endeavour, and of course the MS-18 Soyuz vehicle that are all on board the International Space Station now as part of Expedition 65, welcoming each other officially aboard.